grounding that gives you and the platform that gives you is very strong. So that's certainly a factor that you would keep in mind, not so much at the summer placement stage, but certainly at the final placement stage, that does this company have a good orientation or an induction program. Okay, ask me, repeat your question.
I have an interesting comment.
Okay.
But like one of my senior has visiting faculty. He said though it's a very challenging career, but that there is not much scope in India. So I would like you to answer my question.
Okay, so our question's about scope of econometrics. Somebody give me a definition. Yeah, I know what it is. I'm just getting trying to. Is everyone aware of what is econometrics? The simple answer is the people who give you your GDP figures, right? Or your weekly or monthly inflation figures. Essentially, econometrics is using mathematics and economic data. In the private sector, there is relatively lesser scope for this. Larger employers for people who do have econometrics backgrounds or interests are central statistical organizations. So there's a government body, again, NSSO, right? So where they do, and the National Population Survey and Register, those sort of organizations. That's typically where econometrics go in. You can apply your econometrics to market research companies. If you have a base in that or a foundation in that, an interest in that, that will apply there. But otherwise, if you want to actually go and work, say, with NSSO or CSO, your MBA qualification perhaps would not be enough. You'd need to do a second master's, which would either be in statistics or specifically in econometrics. Yeah.
I would like to ask, like the forms like CRISIL or Moody or like something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do they? How do they hire?
They hire in pretty much the same way that regular companies do. There, it's not so much of econometrics as much as it is about financial analysis of companies, right? These are ratings agencies. So they are not looking necessarily at overall economic data, but they're looking at company-specific figures and data in order to give them a rating, right? Whether for their equity, whether for their debt, and now they've gotten into all sorts of ratings. So I think CRISIL also does a rating for educational institutions. So essentially it's applying parameters, giving weightages, doing that study, finding that information and arriving at a score which is easily understood.
They also have a very structured program, CRISIL, for taking in people and training them.
They also run a B school, of course, right, with where they offer this program, but I do know that they go and recruit from other B schools as well, and that you can apply on your own as well if you're interested in rating.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, can you please help me building a link between a job profile and a job sector? I mean, how do you decide on a profile and which sector you need to go in? Because probably being a marketing, when I do it, I'll be starting with sales. So once I do that, how should I be knowing, actually which sector should I be going in? So can you please help me with that?
If you're a marketer, ideally, and at this earlier stage, you really shouldn't have a preference for a sector. The 4 P's of marketing apply to this and apply to this. Or has the 4 P's changed into 5? 7 S's of service marketing, right? Okay. 7 P's. Please educate. Oh. Okay. So it's all changed. Okay. But it's the same thing. So if you're a Huja company in selling microphones, or if you're Nokia and you're selling phones, or if you're Bisleri Parley selling bottled water, when you are at this stage, when you're passing out from B school at least, you really shouldn't be having a preference.
No, but it's a comfort level.
No.
With the I
To
think
simplify it, like if I start with a sales profile in any FMCG company,
Yeah.
say 2 years or 3 years down the line,
Yeah.
I want to shift to an automation company or a media company or something like that. So
Possible. In fact, the other way around, not as likely possible. Because the complexity involved in, say, even a consumer durables or FMCG will be far more, and then you can take away things from their learnings and apply that to other sectors and industry. Yes. But rarely the other way around. You know, you will rarely find examples of people who spent 10 years in banking or financial services or IT sales and marketing who are then going into consumer durables or FMCG or those sort of areas. The traffic flow is usually the other way around.
So if you are a recruiter and you have 205 or 500 resumes to select people, what is the approach of a recruiter to select people and how they start differentiating between candidates?
Okay, I'll give you a little caveat here. This is only my guess, and so I'm not a recruiter. Okay, so every recruiter will look at it differently. So I can tell you what they kind of look for and how they do it. 500 profiles to look at. Okay, 200. What's your batch strength? 240. 240 profiles to look at. How do you think you do it? So, they also need easy ways, and they're also a little lazy, and they're also short on time when they come to a campus, right? So they have a set number of hours within which they need to wrap up a process. How do they do that? One, they'll put a hurdle level, which is your
Academic.
GPA, all of that. Some of them, if they've come to your campus earlier or other places, they'll also say, okay, I'm only looking at engineering plus MBA, or I'm open to those. So they'll create certain filters. Then, very quickly, they will just do a brief scan of your CV, of the profile or whatever that you want to call it. Now, that is where each of you should ideally be making a different one, at least for a different sector and a different profile, different company, right? Your placements allow that, right? For you to have different versions of your resume. No, the format is the same, but but in the sense that today, if HSBC comes, HDFC comes, and Pepsi comes, is it the same resume that goes?
So, but you can always revise it and send it again to the link so that they can update the database accordingly.
Why not for every company? Right, but which is more about your bachelor's, graduation profile, your marks, your CGPA, all of that. But in terms of what you are offering, I mean in terms of the career objective and strengths that you're looking for, can't that be changed?
That was the first question I asked when I give a different CV to a different company.
Correct.
I mean, there might be.
So put this up for a discussion, that at least let people for broad sectors create version 1, version 2, version 3. Not that too many people who've done an IT background will necessarily apply for finance or for that, but you should have that flexibility, and that's where you will create the differentiation. You will you'll cite perhaps extracurricular activities and co-curricular stuff, that I submitted a paper or we did such and such thing related to that sector or that profile. Yeah? Hello.
Should we prefer a small company or a big company offering same profile and the same package? Because what I have heard is we learn so much from a small company than from a large company. Because in a large company there are defined processes. You just have to move on that same process. But in being in a small company, you have to make process maybe. In fact, so what should we prefer?
The first thing that I learned at B school was that most answers should begin with the following two words: it depends. Yeah, and truly it does. So if that company has been to your campus, please speak to your seniors, super seniors who've gone there. See, is it a good training ground? Because yes, a larger company may also be therefore, because they've got processes and because it's been ironed out, there may be a better way of, integrating these students or fresh management grads into the various profiles and things like that. So smaller company, yes, you're right, by and large, you get to do more and you get to see and learn more, but it's not necessarily that it will be a much better first experience. So you need to do this legwork. Sorry, no easy answer there.
Not a very small, then to be safe, go to a mid-sized. That makes it better. Even if you're going into an ad agency, for instance, if you go to a very small one, you'll be confined to one or two, chuchu clients. But if you're going to a mid-sized, there is an assortment, there's a variety. There'll be a bank, there'll be a, there might be a particular political party, there might be an FMCG product, stuff like that. So your exposure is wide.
And the little advantage that a slightly larger company would also offer is that suppose you do find that that's not where you're fitting in, within the same company, there is a possibility of not, changing projects, changing profiles, locations. Sometimes that's an issue. So those are some of the advantages. But again, first check on how good a training starting ground it is. Yeah.
Sir, my name is Kushal. As I said that I want to start something of my own.
Okay.
But the thing is that the institutes and the B schools are more of centered on creating hardcore jobs for people. I mean, those who can work, those who can do some job. And I don't find that I can find any education or a way that I can start something of my own. There's nothing structured anything.
Yeah.
So how can I structure my pedagogy and my research thing, and from where I can source money and what can I do? There's nothing in that. So what can be my...
Okay. Number one, do you have an idea already? No.
Just,
Okay. So is it web.com related? Is it hardcore manufacturing or a service or a...
actually, I'm from retail sector.
Okay.
But the thing is that I want to go something in stocks. It's related to financing.
Okay. And you want to have a startup
I
there?
want to start up, and then from then I want to move on some other thing. It's not that structured thing, but this is a startup which I want to do.
Okay. Now, the ingredients are the same, right? What the basics that you say learned in your first year is pretty much what you'll apply if you're running your own company. Everything from HR to marketing to strategy to other things that accounting to other things that you probably haven't learned at all, from setting up a filing system to dealing with local municipal bodies and tax bodies and things like that. Your B school environment overall, right, do provide you several opportunities, by the way, to test your idea. Every B school fest has a business plan competition. That's your test tube, that's your sandbox, right? So take your idea, thrash it out there. There'll be a format that you need to present it in, right? There'll be judges there who are questioning you on it, which will help you refine it. So all the learning is the same. It's just that how you're applying it. Also, just to put a different spin on this same question, if you're a CEO of a small to mid-sized to large company versus being an entrepreneur, what's the difference in terms of what you do? It's exactly the same, right? So to say that no, my B school education doesn't necessarily provide me with the tools or the skills in order to be an entrepreneur, I won't.
The skills are there. There are things, but the thing is that I'm not able to plan something like what I want to open.
Okay.
There is some things that I'm not able to do some research, but there is no help in that. How to go into the research and what to open and how to...
Yeah, but your B school is not going to spoon feed that to you, right? I'll give you an example. So I did marketing as a major. I went into IBM in order to do sales, B2B sales, business to business sales, so large enterprises, SAIL, Tata Steel, people like that. I didn't know the S of selling. Really. I mean, they've taught you all of these concepts that, you analyze what are their pain points and, you sell by a feature benefit analysis point of view and not just by various other things, blah, 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 blah. How do you organize, understand their position that they're in. But when it comes to selling, when you go and sit in front of that company fellow and how do you pitch your product or service or whatever, that is also something that you will learn on the job. If you think that having spent 21, 22 months somewhere is going to have downloaded all that information into your head, and that it's like that Matrix thing, ki give me a download of how to fly a helicopter and you're up and ready to do that, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. So please be prepared to unlearn, relearn. Really. I mean, stuff like digital marketing was not even a topic that we guys ever even spoke of at these schools. 10 years, right? I'm sure you now have a subject on it or an elective in it in second year and stuff like that. So see how things change. Now, someone who passed out of a B school, say in 1980, and today, 30, 35 years later, he's probably head of marketing. He can't say, no, my B school didn't teach me digital marketing, so sorry, my